Okay, guys, Kiana here, and let's get to it. We got to start talking about these, what I call plantation economies. We've got to start talking about that. And what I mean by that is someone who's Black, African American, talented, they have a skill, but they work for an entity, right? So, for example, they work for a company, and their skill what put the company on. Their skill and their work behind the scenes or at the background is what put the company to the limelight, and that brings so much money for the company. And let's bring Uncle, what they call Tenderism Uncle, to the front. This guy, an older gentleman, Black American gentleman, who developed this uncanny ability. Well, a lot of people can do the same thing, but he is well known for how he can cook various meats to a perfect seasoning and a perfect tender, what they say, tenderization. Perfect tenderization to the point where you pick up the rib and the meat falls off the bone. And then they, it's so good, they take their glasses and throw the glasses because it's so good. Well, it's been exposed that he works for a restaurant, that he does not own the restaurant, and his boss really kind of, the way he behaves around him is basically like hostage situations, like blink twice, please, because like you're okay. And as a result of how you know his supervisor is, Keith Lee visited the restaurant. Keith Lee is a food critic, well acclaimed. He passed by the restaurant and he decides to bless this uncle with about $4,000. And the security would not let him see the Tenderism uncle. They said, oh, he's busy doing TikToks. So they got him working at the back. They got him working at the back doing TikToks. And Keith Lee's like, oh, well, that's just very unfortunate. And he turned around, left, took that 4,000, and he said he was going to buy food and give to the community. He did something with the money, like to give the community and stuff. And this is how the Tenderism uncle boss, no, his supervisor, blocked his blessing. They don't want him to let him go. They got him at the back doing TikToks, like a rat that's winning on a bet. It's like, yeah, he's winning for me. We don't want to let him go. We don't want him to back. The owner tries to come out later and is like, oh, if I had known that Keith Lee came, I would have come out. Keith Lee don't want to see you. Keith Lee is not interested in you. Keith Lee came to see the Tenderism uncle. We got to put an end to these plantation economies. Same drama with Paula Deen. Remember Paula Deen? She had a show. All these cooking recipes. She'd be coming out. Hey, y'all. Paula Deen be coming out. Hey, y'all. Ba, 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 ah, ah. Come to find out, Miss Mims had an African American woman who has, this woman is the true chef. Her recipes, she's the one that's cooking in the back. And she was the one that anyway, it came out, it was a mess, and of course she was, she had her own prejudices and all this kind of stuff. And everyone just like, cancel Paula Deen. But this is this is what happens.
Once I found out that Tenderism Unc did not own any part of that restaurant, I was like, I'm not engaging in any of this content from here on out. And it always rubbed me the wrong way because as an avid food TV and travel network viewer, I'd love to see people, doing their diners, drive-ins and dives, their hop from here and there. And inevitably, you would come across a restaurant that would have great food, great barbecue, great cornbread, great whatever, right? And there would be an older Black woman in the back with her daughter or even her granddaughter or her grandson, who all work in the back, who have family recipes that are being sold in the restaurant that they do not own. Some of you have a really hard time grasping what old money really looks like and what privilege really does in our current iteration of America. It is a man who owns a plantation, who gets reparations for his slaves after Civil War, whose son becomes a lawyer with the tuition paid for by said slaves and plantation, whose son also becomes a lawyer, whose son also becomes a lawyer, whose son also becomes a lawyer who is then your friend at Ole Miss that you met at a mixer. And you're in the business program and he's in the law program. But when you have an idea for this lovely barbecue food truck, he introduces you to his dad, who then gives you a no-interest loan for your food truck. Your black friend, who is in that same program at Ole Miss, has to go get a loan from the bank. He needs to turn a profit in 3 years. You, on the other hand, don't have to turn a profit in 3 years. You go to a vacation on Lake Tahoe with your buddy, and they introduce you to more friends who then invest in your business, and you don't have to turn a profit until year 5. In fact, at year 3, you expand, having not made $1 of profit. For context, Sweet Green just expanded and plans to expand to more than 1,000 locations, right? You've seen a Sweet Green. You've been to a Sweet Green. Sweet Green has never turned a profit. So when you see these mom and pop restaurants who are trying to make it, the ones that are owned by black folks, they are sitting there. They don't have the branding. They don't have the marketing. They don't have the money to send their kid to Ole Miss. Their neighborhoods are not being invested in. That is the legacy and the ripple of privilege and slavery. And it makes it plain to people who are kind of aware of what's going on. You can see it. I hope now you can see it too. And why so many people are calling from, let's make sure that Unc gets some sort of compensation for being the face of this restaurant.
Oh, let me get this straight. You're telling me that Mr. Tenderism don't own the restaurant that has gone viral because of the meat falls off of the bone?
Okay. Boy, look here. This is Tenderism at its best.
And that this man is the owner? So this whole time, we thought Unc was the one who was getting the profits, the benefits, the financial rewards, but yet it's the owner. Unc ain't nothing but the mascot. Unc ain't nothing but the face of the restaurant. Unc got the secret recipe. Now that Keith Lee exposed them in an indirect way, because God works in mysterious ways. Let me tell you what happened in case you missed it for the people in the back. Keith Lee, the famous food reviewer, went to the restaurant to try the food for the first time and to also leave Unc a $4,000 tip. But Mr. Tenderism was busy and security said no. I don't care what you say anymore. This is my life. And then after the fact, the owner found out what happened, and then he made a video.
If I would have known he was here, I would have probably asked Edie to stop for a few seconds so we could go over there. That's what I would have done. But ever since I reached out to him, I've gotten zero response.
That video looked like a hostage situation.
We thought he was a regular customer, so we treated him like a bag of dog shit.
And that's how all of this came to the light. So now we have learned that Unc ain't nothing but the cook. We at least thought that he was a partner.
I hope and I pray that he's getting compensated handsomely.
How much is Unc making? Did Unc at least get a $25,000 bonus for all the money that has come into this restaurant? So let me explain why people are upset and this story is going viral. It's because this is way too familiar to people like us, where we don't get the credit, but we doing all the work in the back. And so now, effective immediately, this restaurant is canceled. The 15 minutes of fame is over, baby, because now we all know the truth. Who's really banking from this restaurant? And it ain't Mr. Tenderism. So let me get.
Somebody need to find out if Tenderism need help over there, because they doing that man wrong. So Keith Lee went to see Tenderism. He went to see how good that food tastes. Because if you look at them posts, and you see that meat falling off the bone, pause, you would want it too. Now, after all the videos, you would think that Tenderism owns that restaurant, but he don't. And I'm guessing the owner had a problem with how Keith Lee came and left and didn't let anybody know he was there. But that's what Keith Lee usually does. But Keith Lee gave the kind of review that he usually gives. He said he had the oxtails. He said the oxtails was good.
The oxtail. Now this might be the tenderisms that we were talking about. This oxtail. This is the meat.
Where's that?
Now, if I had glasses, I'm throwing the glasses on the floor. That is delicious.
To top it off, he tried to give Tenderism a tip. A big tip. But he wasn't able to because of security. You heard what I said? Security said that Keith Lee couldn't leave that man a $4,000 tip because they said Unc was busy. Mind you, Keith Lee tried to go to this restaurant before, but he wasn't able to. But he came back. He had the food, enjoyed the food, and said whatever he said about the food. Anybody who follows Keith Lee works knows that Keith Lee does not want to be seen. He does not want to bring attention to himself. So, of course, what does he do? Send people inside, food, and X, Y, and Z. And he always gives an honest review. But apparently the owner, the guy that's in a video with Unc, with Tenderism, had a problem with that. Reality is, Tenderism works for him. That is not Unc's restaurant. But how did that restaurant get popular? Because of Unc. And what Unc needs to do, he needs to step away from this man and get his own shit. Because when you look at Unc, when he's around the owner, it's like blink 2 times if you need help type shit. Keith Lee ain't come there to see the owner. Keith Lee came there to see Unc. Keith Lee came there to find out about that Tenderism. Just to have the owner make a reaction video about him coming to review that food. Looking like a scene in the Get Out movie. Shit is crazy.
We could not get to Unc. Security said it was over with for the day. They said that he was filming something. I believe he was filming a podcast. We had $5,000 in cash, or $4,000 in cash that we was going to give him a hand. They didn't take it, so we're not only going to take it.
This is how someone can block your blessings. This man was about to get $4,000 in tip by Keith Lee. But because the security guard said that he's doing something and that he cannot take the tip right now, he ended up not getting the tip. It's so fucked up how someone can ruin a good opportunity for you. It really is. Like, I hate the fact that this old man has to face the consequences of not receiving $4,000 due to 2 fucking widows. I said what I said. And the real truth is, I feel like a lot of restaurant owners do not allow waitresses to take big tips on their own. Like, if a waitress was serving a table, right, and the table tipped them over like $500, they're not gonna let the waitress take the whole entire tip. The waitress will have to split it with the rest of the people. This is why I say the restaurant industry is so fucking corrupted, because shit like this.
So the moral of the story is we got to be able to find out when we see somebody that is very gifted and we want to support them, but we find out that they're working for another entity, we got to kind of pull back, either help them get their own thing, because sometimes in supporting them, that the company that they work for, the restaurant that they work for, they want a cut of it. They want a cut of the profits. They want a cut of everything, and they don't want to give them credit a lot of times. You see what I'm saying? And many of the famous recipes that we know today, I mean, all these restaurant things that they're known for, blah, blah, blah. It was given a recipe from an African-American slave from way back in the day. These people have a lot of history and slave, you know, maybe they were slave owners and they probably had like recipes from like a servant from 100 years ago. You don't know where they get that recipe from? And then they offer it to you like they can cook. Yeah. Once we find out, we got to help them get their own thing, but we cannot continue to support. So right now, nobody wants to support that restaurant because, first of all, Uncle Tenderism doesn't own it. Everything he's giving is to that man that owns the restaurant, who won't even let him go so that he can even be given a tip. Our blessings are blocked oftentimes, just giving all our expertise to companies, to corporations, And a lot of them hoard it. A lot of us have like created so many inventions, and then they take the patent and pack it away. If they can't make money out of it, not you. Yeah, we got to fix that. Yeah, these plantation economies, we call it, the money that is made from these things. We have to find out, okay, do they own that or do they not? Because we can all go and support, but if they're the employee, they're not going to be yeah. It was pretty sad with Uncle Tenderism because he doesn't own it. It's a job that he can be fired from. Yeah. Till next video.